What if the wisdom we seek lies not in knowing more, but in becoming innocent again? This question lingers in the corners of our minds, almost too elusive, like a fleeting memory. We are drawn to innocence because it represents something pure, something untarnished by the weight of experience, knowledge, or time. Yet, it's a paradox, isn't it? How can we, so experienced, so aware, so burdened by the past, ever hope to return to that state of innocence? But perhaps the question isn't about returning. Maybe it's about finding a way to embody it now. Perhaps we've misunderstood innocence, thinking it was something fragile and naive, when in fact, it could be something far deeper, far more profound. Innocence, uncovered. A concept shaped by time. To understand the beauty in innocence, we must first ask, what is innocence? We often think of it as something that only belongs to the young, to children unmarked by the world's experiences. Yet the philosopher J. Krishnamurti gave us an entirely different view. He said, innocence is not the absence of knowledge, but the freedom from the known. In this, Krishnamurti offers a radical view. To be innocent is not to be ignorant. It is not to be unaware or naive. Innocence, in his eyes, is the capacity to see the world as if for the first time, untouched by the past, free from the patterns of thought and conditioning that distort our perception. This freedom, however, is not an easy one to attain. We carry with us layers of experience, knowledge, and expectations. We have become prisoners of our own minds, enslaved by the chains of memory and thought. Yet, Krishnamurti invites us to step outside of these confines. The moment you recognize you are carrying the past, that is the moment of innocence, he suggests. It is in this awareness that innocence begins to bloom, not through ignorance but through a deliberate act of shedding the past and embracing the present. The Stoic path to innocence, freedom in restraint. Yet Krishnamurti's view is not the only lens through which we can examine innocence. The Stoics, ancient philosophers whose wisdom still resonates today, offer a complementary perspective. Stoic thought, at first glance, might seem worlds apart from the idea of innocence. Stoicism emphasizes control, restraint, and the acceptance of fate. But in the Stoic view, there is a purity that mirrors innocence, albeit a more hardened, tested one. The Stoics understood that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from mastering our internal responses to them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." To the Stoics, innocence is not a naive belief in the goodness of the world, but the ability to see it clearly without distortion. It's a purity that arises when we detach from the noise of our desires, the clutter of our thoughts, and the expectations of society. This form of innocence is less about innocence in the traditional sense, and more about a clear-sightedness that allows one to be free from the burdens of ego and external attachment. The radical nature of innocence. Innocence is not just a philosophical concept or an ideal, it is a way of being in the world. We often associate innocence with the absence of experience, but in truth, it is about the presence of the moment, a moment untainted by the heavy layers of personal history, judgment, and preconception. Consider the child who touches a flower for the first time. There is no pretense in the action. There is no recognition of beauty derived from the standards of society or past knowledge. There is simply the experience. The innocence of this moment is complete, because it is free of comparison or expectation. This is the kind of innocence that Krishnamurti speaks of, the ability to engage with the world without the filter of the past. But this innocence, this beauty, cannot be merely a fleeting experience. It is something that we must learn to cultivate, something we must choose each day to embrace. It requires vulnerability, and above all, an openness to the unknown. To embrace innocence in this way is to embrace the beauty of being unafraid of what is yet to come. It is to experience life as it is, with the heart and mind open, without the heavy burden of knowledge or fear. The universal call to innocence, an invitation. So, what would it look like if we, as adults, embraced the innocence Krishnamurti speaks of? What if we lived with the same openness, the same vulnerability, the same clarity that children bring to the world? We would perhaps see life not as something to conquer or control, but as something to witness and experience deeply. Perhaps this is the invitation we need, an invitation to return to the essence of who we are, to that purity we were born with. In a world that demands so much from us, Innocence offers us the freedom to step back and simply be present with what is. To be free of the burdens we carry, to walk lightly, with clear eyes and open hearts. The beauty in innocence is not in its simplicity, nor is it in the absence of knowledge. It is in the freedom it offers, the freedom to see the world without the weight of the past, the freedom to engage with life as it is, untainted by the expectations we so often place upon it. So ask yourself, can you, in this very moment, return to the innocence that is already inside of you? Can you shed the layers of conditioning, judgment and expectation, and look at life, at this world, with fresh eyes? Can you experience the beauty in innocence as it unfolds in every moment? Innocence is the greatest act of rebellion, Krishnamurti said. Not a rebellion against the world, but a rebellion against all that keeps us bound. It is an invitation to live freely, without the weight of the known, and to experience the world with clarity and wonder.